guys, it's Casey down here at reInvent 2019. We are down here with Mizer. You can find us in our Mizer gear. We're giving away this PS4, so come find us and enter to win this PS4. And besides that, we're going to get to our discussion now. Hey guys, we're back again. This is the end of day 2, well, beginning of day 3, but we're doing this to recap day 2 here at AWS Event. Again, I'm Casey. I'm a software engineer for Mizer. And this is Mark. He is a security architect for Mizer. And we're going to kind of go over the keynote that was given yesterday. It was a big keynote. They dropped in a lot of new services that they're offering through Amazon. A lot of SageMaker and things. What was your favorite offering they're giving on the table this year?
There are a few interesting offerings. The S3 Outpost was one of them. I thought that was an interesting way to extend out S3.
Now, it wasn't just S3, right? It was an AWS Outpost.
Mm-hmm.
So S3 is going to be added in 2020. They did mention that on the slide briefly.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have S3 buckets with it yet, but they have all your other core. They have EC2, they have ECR, Elastic Container Services, and your EBS volumes that you'll be able to use through this outpost.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's kind of geared towards people who can't go, they need an on-premise solution, right?
Yep.
And what are your thoughts with how that's going to work for an on-premise solution, or do you see any problems with that?
So in the security and forensic space, I think it's an interesting concept because in the forensic security space, they have the need for data sovereignty, especially in those sensitive workloads. And so they need to be able to have a case, if you will, a forensics or discovery case, have it stay in one location. So I think the Outpost will give the ability for those forensics investigations and also for workloads that need to stay close. If you have, I think the example was a factory that you need instant access to the data, low latency access to be able to put that type of application into an outpost. That makes sense as well.
It makes durability a little harder because I would assume you'd have to purchase multiple outposts to kind of improve that durability. But if the center goes down, that your wherever your colo is that you're having the ship to, if it goes down, you just can't connect to it. You can't get your data. So that is a little bit of a downside, but it makes sense for those people who need hardware, an on-prem solution. But there is another there is another factory that they announced this year to bringing your data closer to you. Well, at least a couple of them. Mm-hmm. And one of them was more geared towards your standard AWS workloads with AWS Local Zones.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they launched one in LA, a provisional one that you have to get an invite to right now, but they're planning on launching them in all the major metro cities. What do you think of that?
I think that fits along the same use case, but also for applications or apps that need more or they need faster access, low latency access. I think it's a great use case.
Okay. There was one last one they released called At the Edge. I believe it was AWS at the Edge, and it was geared towards mobile users and mobile applications, and basically paired with Verizon and some other telephony companies outside the United States. They're putting servers just behind your connection to Verizon. Mm-hmm. Now, they haven't expanded it to any other carrier, but if you're on Verizon, it seems good that you can launch something at the edge. They haven't really given us much more than they're putting it just behind the cell towers at the city level. How are we going to deploy applications to all of these nodes, or do we have to deploy them to all these nodes? How do you envision that working, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think that as they roll that out, we'll have to look to see it. I think what will be interesting is how do you manage that? Is there a deployment option, and then how do you pay for it?
Yeah.
Right. If you're going to have 500 nodes all over the United States, even, how does that deploy? How does that scale? What does that look like?
Well, and if you need to connect to something centralized like a database, mm-hmm. Even in AWS, their databases are region driven. So how would you make that at the edge be responsive without serving up just static content,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do you make that a real application?
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of interesting things this year at AWS. SageMaker, they released a lot of stuff for that with machine learning. You want to take a look at that, but I think that's all we have time for today. We'll get back to you guys on day 3 tomorrow here at AWS. Have a great day.